Adolf Hitler unleashes a heavily armed secret army on unsuspecting U.S. forces stationed along the Ardennes, a fight that history will remember as the Battle of the Bulge. Bearing the brunt of the initial wave of attack is the all-black 333rd Field Artillery Battalion. Caught off guard, U.S. troops are forced to retreat. The men of the 333rd fight on, providing much-needed time and cover for the retreating army. They fight hard against the Nazi advance, down to the last round of ammunition. Many of the 333rd are captured. Some make it back to safety, and others fall victim to the extreme cold weather. A small band of 11 gunners, split off in the first wave of battle, struggle on, lost in territory crawling with German infantry.
They would have almost nothing. To begin with, they might not have been that well supplied in terms of winter clothing. And now what they did have, perhaps in a dugout or maybe a well-fortified position, they've left that all behind. And with it, they've left all of their personal belongings, all of their extended clothing, anything that would help them survive in the elements.
The 11 men are lost in the dense woodland and ravines, without shelter. It will only be a matter of time before exposure kills them all. They're on the verge of death when they stumble on the hamlet of Wereth. It's their only chance to survive, but throwing themselves at the mercy of the local population is a very risky thing to do.
This German-speaking part of Belgium, Berg-Reuland, the people weren't entirely sure, are we German, are we Belgian? Because the nationality had changed when the Germans had invaded in May 1940. Either way, they wouldn't have got much encouragement from the population. I think that's fair to say as well. Because what you have to bear in mind is that African Americans were considered to be Untermenschen by the Germans. So they were regarded as less than human beings, in the same way they regarded Gypsies, Jews, and Slavonics. This made the situation incredibly tenuous for these guys.
They're in luck. A farmer, Matthias Langer, offers them food, warmth, and most important, shelter. For the Langer family, with no clear idea who has the upper hand in the battle, helping U.S. soldiers is an act of incredible bravery. Meanwhile, word travels around the village that American soldiers are hiding out at Matthias Langer's farm. And it isn't long before an SS scouting party pays the farmer a visit. The men are taken back to the woodland they came from. What happens next only becomes clear many weeks later. For the remaining men of the 333rd, life becomes a simple quest for survival. Shattered and leaderless, they struggle back to the only safe haven they know, the regional headquarters in Bastogne. But any hope that their troubles are over are soon dashed. For Bastogne is about to become the epicenter of the biggest battle in U.S. history.
Bastogne was crucial to the German offensive. It's the main offensive initially was the northern shoulders, Zepp Dietrich, the 6th Panzer Army that is largely stopped in the north. In the south, Hasso von Manteuffel and the 5th Panzer Army make much better progress. As a result, the main effort for the German attack is shifted to the south. The main obstacle is Bastogne. Bastogne was a key hub because its road network proved essential to the area.
Racing towards it are the most feared divisions of the Panzer Lehr, the Germans' elite tank army. Backing it up, the German 47th Panzer Corps, with its 2 divisions of crack Waffen-SS tank regiments, supported by regular infantry. Without reinforcements, the town will fall instantly.
If the Germans could get there quickly, they would secure a major road network that would allow them to keep their forces pushing forward. If the Americans could defend Bastogne sufficiently, they would put a major delay in the German assault. The key is time for both the Americans and the Germans.
The Germans race towards Bastogne, and the Americans must beat them there. But everything is working against the Allies. The nearest elite force is the U.S. 101st Airborne, the paratroops called the Screaming Eagles. But with weather making airdrops impossible, they're grounded. The only way to get to Bastogne? Open trucks on icebound roads. And racing them for the prize? Von Manteufel's elite panzers, now hours from rolling into the town.
After the German initial attack, few American senior leaders realized how significant an offensive this was. But within 24 hours, they have figured it out. And word goes out to the field, hold at all costs. Stop, delay, withdraw, but only under pressure. Even maintaining strong points, pocket defenses would be essential to delaying the German offensive.
The Panzer layer barrel through the Ardennes. U.S. roadblocks attempt to slow their advance, but are quickly overrun. But they've done enough, for when the tanks sweep into Bastogne, they are greeted by the newly arrived Screaming Eagles. Although Bastogne has been reinforced, the Germans are attacking from every direction. Taking outlying villages and shelling the town with a relentless assault. As the 101st Airborne dig in, they're quickly introduced to their second enemy, the coldest winter in decades.
Out in the forests around Bastogne, the 101st Division, who were dug in foxholes, were experiencing temperatures of -28 Celsius. Now, inside the city itself, the conditions were, in fact, horrendous. The civilians and the US soldiers who were there took on a kind of troglodyte subterranean lifestyle. They were living in cellars. In some cases, they would knock holes from one cellar to the next, and this is how they would get around. It was simply too dangerous to be above ground.
Gray skies prevent airdrops of supplies. The defenders are quickly running out of ammunition. Still recovering amid the chaos, the 333rd is quickly put to work. The Screaming Eagles commander, General Anthony McAuliffe, orders them into the forest outside Bastogne to keep pressure on the encircling Germans. But panic is beginning to seize the exhausted gunners. When rumors race along the lines that Bastogne has fallen, the battalion commander orders a retreat. Horrified, McAuliffe instantly orders them back. But German forces are now pressing in, and as they close the circle, the black gunners fall into Bastogne's perimeter, in a siege that will test them to their limits. A grim joke begins to make the rounds, reflecting the dogged spirit of the encircled men. They've got us surrounded, the poor bastards. The bitter cold and hunger menace not just the fighting 333rd, but also their captured comrades marching to German prison camps.
They marched us all through these little towns, propaganda stuff, you know. People stoned us, hit us with sticks. We walked for 4 or 5 days, no food, no water. So we grabbed a handful of snow, and if one of the German guards saw you doing that, he hit you with a rifle butt or stuck you with a bayonet. The only thing I was worried about was the cold. How long I was going to last out there in the cold, sleeping in the snow and stuff.
For George and his companions, cold, hunger, and disease are constant. With no end in sight, any hope of escape is fleeting.